Can't wait to see me at Comic-Con? Yo, I should be there. Should be there. Hello! Hello. Audio check. 1 2 1 2. How do we sound? How is the audio for those watching? Is the audio okay? Is the music okay? I want it to kind of be low. I want you to be able to hear the music in the background, but I don't want it to be like over me, if that makes sense. I want it to be just kind of in the background. It's there. It's just like some chill beats in the background. That's what it is. But that's what we're going for here. I got 2 people telling me I sound good. That's awesome. But yeah, I should be at Comic-Con. I still plan to be, all things considered. I hope to be there for Comic-Con. Oh, I gotta get centered. I gotta get centered in the ring. I am in the ring for this. Okay. Hope y'all like the overlay for this. This is the overlay for the Mic'd Up podcast. For this podcast, I've turned off sound alerts. I've also turned off stickers. So those will not pop up. You can't even... You shouldn't be able to redeem for them. But they're still there. I'm being Lawlerhausen. Oh, goodness gracious. I look forward to seeing that. Alright. Let's get this gravy train on the road. As I mentioned before, but I'll mention here again. I'm also recording this podcast to be reposted on YouTube. It's going to be an hour long, so I'm probably going to break it off into 2 episodes. It'll be a part 1, part 2 kind of thing. Those will probably go up Friday night. Or Saturday, depending on upload speeds and all that crap. But that's neither here nor there. I think it's time. To talk wrestling. Let me get my notes in front of me, so that way I have notes right in front of me. So, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages and genders, welcome in to the debut episode of the Mic'd Up podcast. I say debut, but this is more of a rebirth. The title of this episode will be The Dark Match. If anybody is familiar with pro wrestling, you know the Dark Match is something that comes on before the main show. And since this is my first time doing this in a while, and I'm kind of dipping my toes back into it, I thought it was a fitting title for this episode. For those of you who may not know who I am, who are watching on YouTube or watching here with us, my name is Mike Lucid. I used to do this podcast 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It was a pretty decent podcast, I will say. It allowed me to connect with a lot of different people in the wrestling world, and I got to do guest appearances on other podcasts. My podcast was on Stitcher. I think it was on iTunes as well, way back in the day. But as time grew on, it was time for me to evolve, and it allowed me to pursue some lucid endeavors. So, but now we're in this new golden age of professional wrestling, where we have all of these different promotions that are doing really well. And I wanted to bring this podcast back a year ago, but I didn't have the internet for it, so I kind of had to shelve that idea. But now we have the internet. Now I'm able to pursue these endeavors, and I thought it was a perfect time to get mic'd up again. So here we are. This podcast was something that I held very near and dear to my heart for a while. It was one of my first endeavors into trying to do something with content creation. Podcasting is kind of where I started with that. So we're kind of coming full circle here. I don't have any current plans to make this podcast available audio only. That's not currently in my plans, but as we go on, that could change. But for right now, it is going to stay a live podcast because I really enjoy the live format, with the VODs going up over on YouTube. So I'm excited about that. These past couple of years, I've had the opportunity to host pro wrestling panels at a couple of different conventions here in Alabama. And every time I do it, I always get this feeling of, man, I miss my podcast. I miss my podcast. You walked in on a professional wrestling podcast, Sheldon. Welcome in, man. I missed it. And every time I did these pro wrestling panels, I feel like they were received really well. We had pretty good crowds. It allowed me to meet a lot of people around the area and just talk with people. When I was doing a lot of work with a professional wrestling group that I have here in town that I'm a part of, it allowed me to meet a lot of different people, and I'm pretty excited about that. But I wanted to do it more frequently, and unless I travel to conventions all over the country, I can't do it. So, here we are. So, I have been watching wrestling my entire life. Wrestling has been that thing in my life that has been with me longer than anime, longer than video games, longer than anything else in my life. Wrestling has been there. My earliest memories as a child are watching wrestling on Saturday mornings with my dad, and it just continued to grow from there. And no matter where I was in my life, whether I was riding the highest of highs or I was in my darkest of darks, wrestling was always there. And for that, I'm always grateful for it, and it's something I can always come back to and still feel like I can keep up with what's going on. And I just enjoy it. It's very entertaining. I genuinely feel like wrestling is one of those mediums that is for everyone. Like, everyone. No matter what you're into, you can find something in the wrestling sphere that you will like. Whether it's the skits, whether it's the promos, whether it's the in-ring action, the storylines, they have gory stuff, they have comedy stuff. It's drama. It's live theater, but with people fighting in tights and voodoo masters and creepy vampires and all these people. It's great. It's a great medium. For this podcast, we are going to talk everything. Predominantly, we're probably going to talk a lot of AEW and we're going to talk a lot of WWE, because those are the two big dogs in the professional wrestling world right now, and that's fine. But if there are some cool matches that I see or want to talk about, we're going to bring them up, whether it's a local indie match, whether I see a cool match in New Japan. I know they got the G1 Climax going on right now in New Japan. That would be cool to talk about if there's anything good that catches my eye. Impact, if they do anything noteworthy besides just existing, we'll talk about it. With Ring of Honor coming back, I'm curious to see what Tony Khan does with that, and if that's worth talking about. And obviously, NXT is still rolling around, and whatever wrestling match or storyline catches my attention, I think it's worth talking about. I'll talk about it. But for right now, we're just diving into just dipping our toes back into this and seeing how it goes. I didn't watch Dynamite live last night, but I have gone through and watched a lot of highlights and watched a lot of footage. I've pretty much watched the entire episode, just not all together. So I'm going to start off by talking about a little AEW, because why not? That was the most recent thing that happened. That was last night. AEW Dynamite is a really fun show. I enjoy it. Rampage is coming up this Friday night. They have some really awesome matches that I've seen online. And they haven't I don't know if they've happened yet or been taped or not, but I've seen some of the matches that they've announced. I know Danhausen's going to team up with somebody to fight the Ass Boys. That'll be really fun. I think Sonny Kiss has a match on Dynamite, or not Dynamite, but Rampage as well. I think that'll be good. But Dynamite itself seems like a really good show. They seem like they've really caught lightning in a bottle with Dynamite and AEW as a brand, where they have like some of the best wrestlers in the world from both the past, where you have Sting on TV in 2022 coming out of coffins. You have the present, where you have guys like a CM Punk, like a Daniel Bryan, a Claudio, and just all those people who are the current stars. And then you have the future stars, like the Wardlows, the Will Hobbs, the Ricky Starks, the Darby Allins, the Jungle Boys. We're building that next generation. You're just getting off work and you can drive. Yeah, you're not dreaming. This is a podcast. We are vibing. But yeah, I am really excited for the lightning in the bottle that AEW has been able to capture these few years that they have been around. Dynamite had a really, really fun coffin match last night. It was Darby Allin versus Brody King. And the storyline that they're building up between, Sting and Darby with the House of Black, I think is really awesome. I love Malachi Black. I think he's a phenomenal guy, both in the ring and outside of the ring. I loved his work as Tommy End back in the Indies. I loved his work in NXT and WWE, obviously as Aleister Black. He's been doing a really good job with being really great in the ring and also really great at storytelling. He's carried this character that he's evolved over years. He basically was able to take his character from the WWE and transition it to AEW, and it worked out. Hey, what's up, Moogie? How are you doing? Welcome in. And I really, really, really enjoy his character work. And it sucks that he's dealing with some back issues right now. So obviously, a lot of people are like, "Why isn't Malachi featured more? Why isn't he doing more in the ring?" Well, he's got back injuries that he's dealing with, and he's trying to handle it. Yo, I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Moogie. We are doing a live professional wrestling podcast right now, so I'm enjoying it. Somebody punch you to make sure you're not dreaming. Hey, if I could, I would. But Malachi Black is one of my favorite wrestlers. I think he should totally be a world champion one day. I think it should happen. I thought he was going to win the All-Atlantic title, honestly. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad that Pac won it. He's defending it over in Europe on some indie shows, and they're showing those matches on Dynamite. I think that's really good. I'm not really sure how I feel about that All-Atlantic title. It's still young. They haven't really done a lot with it on AEW television. But it exists. It's a title that exists. The match itself, going back to the coffin match, was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I'm surprised Darby Allin won. I feel like Darby Allin, I love Darby Allin, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love him. But I feel like he wins a lot. And it's just like, he wins a lot in matches that it's like, I don't know about that one. Brody King, he's this monster, he's this big dude, they're building him up, and they had Darby beat him in the coffin match. Obviously there were a lot of shenanigans going on, but it was still like, man, I don't know about that one, but I'm excited to see if this story continues, because when Sting came out of the coffin, he had his regular face paint on, but he also had a little bit of the House of Black makeup on his other side. So I'm curious to see if that's going to evolve to maybe Sting. Maybe are we going to see a heel Sting in AEW? Is that something we're going to see? Are we going to see a heel Sting, or is it just classic mind games of, hey, I'm wearing your paint, ha ha ha? But I'm curious to see where that goes. I think the House of Black. I wouldn't be surprised if the House of Black wins the trios titles. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with these trios tournament. I'm happy that the trios titles finally got introduced. Obviously they had to wait a little while because Kenny Omega got injured, and with the little bit of tease they had backstage with the Young Bucks talking to Adam Page, and they were like, hey, let's team up for this trios tournament title. And Adam Page was like, nah, I'm going to be in the corner of the Dark Order. They had my back. Y'all didn't. Deuces. Which is cool. I think it's great storytelling. The Young Bucks, I swear the Young Bucks have been flipping from heel to face a lot. I don't know if it has anything to do with AEW signing the Big Show and him passing that on to them, but I swear, if you take a couple of months off of AEW television, when you come back, like, are the Young Bucks heel or the Young Bucks face? I don't know. I really don't know. But they make it work for the story, but at the same time, it's a bit too, like, come on, pick a side, guys. Pick a side. I love you guys. I think they're obviously one of the most influential tag teams of all time, but just pick a side when it comes to heel or face. Just pick a side. It's painfully obvious that Kenny Omega is gonna be their third man in the trios tournament. It's almost too obvious that they're probably gonna win the trios titles. But my thing with that is, do you keep the tag team titles on the Young Bucks and also give them the trios titles as well? That seems like that might be a bit overkill. I feel like if they're gonna win the trios titles, they gotta get those tag titles off of them. Maybe they drop them to FTR at All Out. That would be pretty good. Yo, what's up, Iceman? I think that would be a good move. FTR is doing fantastic, holding all of these tag team titles. They've got the IWGP Heavyweight tag team titles. They got the Ring of Honor tag team titles, and they have the AAA tag team titles. So why not? Why not just give them the AEW tag team titles as well? I really like their work. I like that they came out and helped Wardlow. Wardlow, I think, is gonna be a star. I think he's already there. He's already a star, but I think he's gonna be a mega star for AEW in the future, maybe in a couple of years. But I love him. I love his positioning. I love his positioning right now as the TNT champion. I feel like that's a good spot for him right now as they continue to build him up and have him get some dominant wins. I don't know who's going to beat him for it, or at least who's going to beat him for it clean. I could see Wardlow losing the TNT title in a multi-man match. I just don't see anyone beating him clean, and I'm not sure if Wardlow should lose clean anytime soon. I don't know how y'all feel about Wardlow or FTR or anybody that I've mentioned. Feel free in the chat or in the comments on YouTube. Feel free to chat there about that. What else happened on AEW last night? That's right. We had Andrade and Rush teaming up to face the Lucha Brothers, which I thought that was a fantastic match. I thought that was a really good back and forth match. I love Andrade. I think he's great. I think it was interesting that he was Ric Flair's tag team partner for Ric Flair's final match. That's fine. I like Andrade. Andrade has kind of been fluttering in AEW since he came there. I don't think the storyline with Andrade partnering up with the Matt Hardy thing, I don't think the Matt Hardy thing and the Andrade thing, I don't think that worked. I think they know that didn't work, but that was just like a means to an end until AEW could get Jeff Hardy, break off Matt. They had the Hardy Boys reunion. Maybe Jeff will come back when he gets clean. We'll see how that goes. But Andrade with Rush seems really awesome. I think that's going to be a great storyline and a great team that could potentially take the titles off the Young Bucks if it's not FTR. The Lucha Brothers, I love both of them. That's the thing. I love Penta and I love Rey Fenix. But I'm tired of them as a tag team. And I hate to say that, but I'm tired of them as a tag team. I think Penta is better as a solos competitor. I think he's a lot more vicious and he can work his style a little more. And I think Rey Fenix is going to be a freaking beast if they ever pull the trigger and make him solo. I see Rey Fenix being a future champion. He definitely has that Rey Mysterio 99 aura of being that guy. I could see him. He could be that underdog. He could be that. Well, hell, when back when Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble, he was kind of the underdog there as well. I could definitely see Rey Fenix being that guy. AEW has so many potential stars that they could build up for their future that it's amazing. I mean, you've got Wardlow, you've got Rey Fenix, you have Powerhouse Hobbs, who is freaking amazing, and you have Ricky Starks, who had a match on Dynamite and did really well, and they furthered that storyline with Team Taz breaking up with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. I want to call him Will Hobbs, but that was his old name. I think Ricky Starks, man. Ricky Starks is a beautiful man. I think he's got the total package when it comes to being a star in the world of wrestling. He's got that charisma. He bleeds. He sweats charisma, and I love it. He is absolute Ricky Starks. That's his name. I think he's got a good body of work. He looks good in the ring. He looks good on the mic. He's got a good style to him. I think they could really put the fire behind him, and I think they kind of are starting to slow burn that. I think we could see him doing something soon in the future, and I'm super excited. I mean, hell, you got Jungle Boy, you got Hook coming up. You got so many people in AEW's roster that could be featured stars, and I think it's going to happen as we go on. And as long as they can stop signing all these ex-WWE guys and giving them TV time, I think AEW has enough natural stars on their own that they will be just fine. What else happened? Let's see. You had the Ass Boys in the back room. I like Billy Gunn's kids. I think they're entertaining. They're comical. The Gun Club, whatever they call it. Billy Gunn looks ridiculous for his age. He's like 58, 59. I don't know how old Billy Gunn is, but he's old. And dude still is just, he looks like a beast. And his kids are just as entertaining as he was. Austin and Colton. Colton Gunn literally looks just like Billy, and that's ridiculous. They hit the copy paste button on that kid. And then I don't know how y'all feel. I don't know how y'all feel about Danhausen. I love that Danhausen. I had an opportunity to see Danhausen live. Was it about 4 years ago? Before he became who he is now. Back when he was like a creepy pervert. He was doing this weird creepy gimmick character. And Danhausen is playing a comedic role. He's playing the comedy wrestler right now. But that dude can go. If he ever needs to, that man can actually wrestle. And I think that's one of the best things about his character is he's playing this goofball, but he can actually get it done in the ring if he needs to. But I love that Danhausen. And if you don't love the Danhausen, I'm sorry. I don't know why you don't have a sense of humor. Don't take things so seriously. But Danhausen is phenomenal. I'm so happy that he's finally in AEW. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I wish they would have signed Warhorse too. Because I love Warhorse, Jake Parnell. Jake Parnell's a phenomenal wrestler if you haven't seen any of his work on the indies. Absolutely amazing guy. His match against Cody I thought was great. I really thought they should have signed him after that. And he's appeared on Dark a few times, but I would love to see Warhorse sign with AEW. Or Ring of Honor at this point, if they're going to bring back Ring of Honor. I think Warhorse might be a good fit for that as well. But either way, love that guy. As for the women's division in AEW, I still feel like it needs work. I still feel like AEW's women's division needs work. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I think they're working on a lot of different stuff. It's very unfortunate that Statlander got injured again. I think she injured her other knee. Because I know she had surgery on the one knee, and that took her out for a while, and then she came back, and they were really pushing her. But it looks like she has injured her other knee, which I hate that for her. Because she's a really good star. I think she's really good in the ring. Has a great character work, and they were really evolving her to be this badass character. So that sucks. That's a hole in the division, but you got Madison Rayne coming in as, like, I guess she's going to be the coach, as they called her, the coach, but she's also going to wrestle. I hope that doesn't turn into, like, a heel boss type gimmick thing, because I think that's run its course in wrestling. I don't want to see that anymore. Her match with Jade Cargill was okay. I think Jade Cargill is one of the most dominant wrestlers in the world. I really want to see. I don't like to make this comparison because I don't care for Goldberg. I don't like Goldberg at all. But I want to see them do a Goldberg with Jade Cargill in the sense that she doesn't lose the TBS title. She has the TBS championship. But I want to see her take that title and the AEW women's title at the same time. Similar to how Goldberg back in the day, when he won the World Heavyweight title in WCW, he was still the United States champion. And there's that iconic visual of him holding up both belts. I want them to do that with Jade. I think that would be just absolutely phenomenal for her. I don't think she loses the TBS title. I just think she wins the women's title and she's like, all right, I don't need this one anymore. You know, that's something I would love to see them do with Jade Cargill. I think that would be really good. They still need to build up more of the women's division because I love Thunder Rosa. See, that's another thing. I absolutely love Thunder Rosa. But her title reign, there hasn't really been a lot of fleshed out stories. And I hate that. I hate that for her and I hate that for the division. I want to see a fleshed out story. Like now they're shoehorning this story with Toni Storm, which is fine. I love both of them, but I want to see more of a story there. I want to see Hikaru Shida back on my TV too. Like, Shida's fucking awesome. I want to see Shida come back for the title. But I want to see Abaddon. I'm excited to see what Abaddon does. She's phenomenal. I've seen her on Dark a couple of times. I don't know if you follow Abaddon on social medias, but she's really big into fitness and getting her body in shape, and I'm excited to see how she continues to evolve. I love Nyla Rose. I think Nyla Rose does some awesome stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing Nyla Rose team with Jade Cargill and be like, you know what, let's just dominate the AEW women's division together. But there's so much. I mean, what else? Who else? Red Velvet is still out with injury. Athena's okay. I don't have anything against Athena. I don't think she should be the one to beat Jade, but I think she's a solid competitor. But as a whole, I really like what they're doing with AEW. I think AEW is lightning in a bottle. I hope to see AEW progress 5 years from now, 6 years from now, further on down the road. I think that'll be... Everybody, I don't know, everybody's very, like, AEW or WWE. I hate this notion that you have to pick one or the other, because everything in our world is based on division, and I hate that. I hate that everything's about division. It's Coke or Pepsi. It's McDonald's or Burger King. It's Team Red, Team Blue. It's all these things that separate us. You know, whether you root for the red football team, I root for the blue football team, or whatever it is. I hate that. I feel like wrestling should be the one thing where everybody's just like, who cares? Let's just like everything. You know? Like, who gives a shit? And I think that's something that wrestling should be. I love AEW. I like WWE. I love WWE. I grew up with it. You know? And it's crazy. It's crazy that I feel like in this world we have to decide which one we're allowed to like. I don't like that tribalism of, woo, I'm an AEW stan, you can't like the WWE. Or you'll see on Twitter or social media, whatever, you'll see, I forget who it was. I think it was Athena. I think it was Athena who said happy birthday to Alexa Bliss on Alexa Bliss's birthday, and some guy was like, how dare you say something to her, she's the enemy. And I'm like, really? Are we still doing that? Is that a thing still? Like, the war between the wrestling companies only exists in the fan base. The wrestlers, the superstars, the referees, the producers, they don't care. They don't care. They're just happy that everybody has a place to work. The more companies that are available is the more opportunities that people have. I know Tony Khan, he'll post things online and all this stuff, but I know he doesn't want WWE to fail. He doesn't want that, because he would lose his primary competitor. He doesn't want that. WWE got so stale when they had no major competitor. WWE was so stale when they had no competitor. I think competition is great for both, in all companies. You know, throw New Japan in there as well, throw Impact, throw everybody in there. I think competition is great. It's healthy, but the tribalism isn't. You know? And closing out our AEW section of the show, because I'm gonna transition and talk a little bit about WWE, and then we're gonna wrap up. And if anybody in the chat has any questions, I'm more than willing to take them. THQ is making the AEW video game, AEW Fight Forever. That game will be on consoles. I believe it's going to be on PC as well. They are hosting a showcase tomorrow, which will be August 12th. They're going to share more details about games that they're doing. But one of the games they're going to feature is AEW Fight Forever. I'm curious if we're going to get a release date. I'm curious if we're going to see some more gameplay trailers, because that is a game I plan to play live here on Twitch at twitch.tv/lucidendeavors. That is a game we plan to play here and hopefully have some fun with it. We've played WWE 2K22 in the past, and I think it'd be fun to incorporate a wrestling game into the streams. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to getting a solid release date for the game and just more information on it. And I really hope it's a good game. Will it be as good as No Mercy or Here Comes the Pain, which are like the top tier wrestling games? I don't know. I hope it's at least serviceable. I hope it's not a crappy game. I really hope it's not a crappy game. If it is, that would be very disappointing. But yeah, let's talk. We'll wrap up. This will probably be the conclusion of episode 1 on YouTube. I'll probably, like I said, I'm going to split this podcast into 2 episodes for YouTube, so that way it's not a full hour-long video. This will be the end of episode 1. Thanks for watching the first part. Let's go to the second part. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go.